We understand now that the government of Plateau State has declared curfew in Mangu local government area of Plateau State because of the escalating violence in the area. And the government has said the decision to declare a sit-at-home to residents of the local government is due to the deteriorating situation in the state. Some of the issues that have come up in relation to that, more we are hearing from the Nigerian police. I understand that the police are already speaking about this, and they say they are on top of the situation as far as Mangu local government area is concerned. But of course, drama today in the House of Assembly in Jos in Plateau State, where some sacked PDP lawmakers stormed the House of Assembly in Jos, saying that they will have to resume based on the outcome of or the judgment of the Supreme Court, which it said indicated that the appeal court ruling which sacked them is faulty. Take a listen to some of the lawmakers speaking in this respect.
There is court process that they have surfaced in regard to that 16 vacancies. As I'm talking to you, there are 32 members claiming 16 vacancies in the assembly. And as I said, we as lawmakers, we are not law interpreters. So we allow the institution, that is the judiciary, to do the needful by interpreting the law. And at the right time, we know who are the rightful occupant of the 16 constituencies, and we'll do the rightful thing at the right time as an assembly. But for now, myself and the honorable colleagues, the duly members of the assembly, were 8 for now until determination of the court.
We are members of the Plateau State House of Assembly by virtue of our membership, which has satisfied the constitutional requirement. What we are waiting for right now is just the official recognition by inauguration.
Let's get some feel on what is going on. One of the lawmakers affected by the appeal court judgment is joining me tonight on the program. Honorable Dachung Bagos is live for us virtually. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shaun. Good evening, Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Honorable. I think it's good for us to begin the conversation around the curfew that has been imposed by the governor on Mangu local government. One, we wonder why Mangu again. We thought that things are really dousing up until today that we're hearing, and the police authorities are saying that, look, that had to happen because of the deteriorating situation in that area. How bad is the state of things in Mangu?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that Mangu have to come into the scene at this very particular moment that we're enjoying peace, that the governor is celebrating and thanking God for the victory of the Supreme Court, and all Plateau people celebrating and jubilating. And it's quite unfortunate. You remember when the governor was declared winner, the same thing happened in Mangu. A day or two, and the same thing again since then. Nothing has happened in Mangu. Now that the governor has been declared by the Supreme Court and had his Thanksgiving on Sunday, today we woke up to another attack in Mangu, and because of the proactiveness of the governor, he has declared 24 hours curfew in Mangu to be able to curtail loss of lives and damage to properties, which we commend him for that. If not, it would have escalated beyond issues that would be redeemable. So for him to have done that, for us to be able to really ascertain and know what the actual cost, but the curfew has really put Mangu under control. And within the next few hours, we'll be able to know the real cost, likely any possible damage if there is. But the immediate proactiveness of the governor to put in curfew has really brought the situation under control. But again, the question that all of us are asking is that why Mangu? The first time Mangu is a local government of the governor. when he was declared winner, attack within 48 hours was emanated on Mangu. Now that he is declared winner by the Supreme Court again, after 48 hours, another attack in Mangu. So because this is what we really want the security agencies to look into, why the local government of the governor at this particular moment again.
What is the attack? Can you describe to us the nature of the attack? How many people are involved? What was the situation? What does it look like?
Because of the proactiveness of the governor and with the curfew, I'm not sure any life has been lost or we cannot really ascertain the quantum of damage as it is as of now till when we hear the official statement by the spokesperson of the governor. But for now, the situation is quite under control because if lives were lost, we could have known by now. But then the immediate proactiveness of the governor to take charge of the security situation in Mangu has helped matters. So we appreciate the governor for doing that immediately.
In this sense, because you are one of those who believe that the attacks in part of Plateau State have a direct link, or the theory that you believe is that some of these attacks on the plateau are linked to the natural resources under the ground and those who are exploiting it, who wants to wipe out the citizens of the state and take over their lands. Do you see all these kind of view in respect of what happened today?
It's not just a theory or my own personal view, Sheung. Our research have shown, we have our research documents on all the areas that have been attacked on the plateau so far are areas that have the high density of mineral resources, and not just mineral resources, high density of agricultural produce, and they are areas that you know that they are predominantly farmers. The vegetation it has a high yield in farm crops. So this research, this is the research that is already there in the public domain, and I've shared some documents with you to show. Look, Mangu, Bagos, Jos South, Barkiladi, Riom, Wase. These are areas that have high level of mineral resources. And again, when you look at these mineral resources, steam and all those mineral resources that you use to produce, be it phones, drones, even guns, all those mineral resources that are in high demand in the West because of the usage of technology. These are the kind of mineral resources that you find on the plateau on a high quantum. And I've called on government not once, not twice, that look, the way you are putting and giving attention in the South because of crude oil, start giving the same attention on the plateau and the areas of North Central Middle Belt in terms of mineral resources that are here, because it is on high demand in the West, just like crude oil it is. By the way, crude oil demand is now going down. So these are issues that government really needs to look at, the issues of mineral resources up here in the north to be able to address the issue of insecurity.
This theory, or this perspective that you hold, is the governor aware? And are these issues being escalated? Those the people in these local government areas, for example, are they aware of it? And what are they doing?
Absolutely. Most of them, all these areas that people have been killed and sacked, most of them predominantly are farmers, are miners. And if you look at one of the videos that was that trended from Bagos, you will even see on dead bodies where people were killed. You will see you will see tin on the floor, just like sand. So these are issues that government know. The governor has been talking about it. In as much as we know these issues, we have little or more to do if federal government did not come to really look into the issues of insecurity on the plateau. Because the federal government the federal government owns the mineral resources, the state government owns the land. So we need a relationship, a bilateral relationship between the state and federal government to be able to see how to be able to address the issue of insecurity as a result of mining activities, as a result of the vegetation that we have in terms of farm root crops and farming produce that comes from the plateau. This is a very serious issue, because when you now look at Shehun again, go back, and I still want the security agencies to confirm this, that most of the out of the 60 villages that have been captured on the plateau because of our land that have grabbed for their mining activities, there are people are being killed, chased out of these communities, and they can't go back to those communities. Go back to those communities in 3 weeks, 1 month. You will see that people are mining in those communities that are not our people. So basically,
I mean, are you thinking, because so apologies, are you thinking, because those who say this is a deliberate wiping out, is it for a cultural purpose or for commercial purpose? And these people that you say have taken it over, are they indigenous? Or are they citizens, or they are aliens?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They are not indigenous. So it would say it's for cultural purpose, because it's the ethnic people that are sitting there that are being killed. So this is purely for commercial purpose, for economic reasons. So the killings on the plateau is not an issue of farmers-headers clash, which the narratives have been changed since since our dear governor has come into power. That the issue of killings on the plateau is mere genocide, land grabbing for the purpose of the mining activities, for the purpose of vegetation, the vegetation in those areas. Those are the major reasons. So these are issues that once federal government have branded these people as terrorists, they should be able to come into those communities, wipe these people out, and bring our people back into the communities. Over 60 of these villages, none of the villagers, none of the indigenes, none of the ethnic groups are staying in those villages. I always give example where Senator Dachung died in 2012. Nobody could go back to that same village again. They are being occupied by people we don't know, and heavy mining activities are ongoing in those areas.
Let me take you to the politics, which caused some drama today. Some of your colleagues, your friends, in the House of Assembly, who were sacked like yourself, had gone to the House of Assembly and saying that they will have to resume. This is causing some tension. I mean, what is the reason behind that kind of action, knowing full well that the court has ruled, and appeal court being the highest court in that respect, can only be reviewed if it has to sit in the same matter in the future?
Yeah, Shaun, in terms of illegality, nothing can stand on anything. What the House of Assembly members that have made to known is that the Court of Appeal legislators that were giving judgment against us on the same issue that the governor was vindicated upon have not been sworn in. So if they have not been sworn in, and here we have a judgment by the Supreme Court vindicating us that we are well structured on the plateau, clearly showing that, look, the issues that us from the National Assembly were illegally removed, the 16 House of Assembly members that were removed, clearly we were vindicated by the Supreme Court that those acts were illegal. So now that they have not been sworn in, the House of Assembly members have said, look, we were removed illegally, and the people that we were being removed for have not been sworn in. So they are now fighting for their own right. I wish we could fight for our own right as well if the people that replaced us were not or are not being sworn in. So this is again an issue that the court will still need to explain further in terms of the judicial precedent, in terms of understanding that, look, this was an issue that an illegality was done and the wrong judgment was given by the appeal court. And it's not us that even said. The Supreme Court clearly said that the issue that the House of Assembly members and the National Assembly members, of the 26 of us that were removed by the Court of Appeal, couldn't have even taken place. That the Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction to have entertained that issue. So now this is an era that we are now looking at the judiciary again. That this is where the issue of doctrine of necessity needs to come into play. That, look, if this was wrongly done and the Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction to have even entertained the matter that had removed us, so the doctrine of necessity for the Supreme Court to right the wrong that the Court of Appeal had carried out, even from the election tribunal matter, because the Supreme Court rightly said that the election tribunal matter couldn't have even entertained this matter because it lacks jurisdiction. It wasn't an election matter entirely. So the court needs to clearly come out to right the wrong.
Okay, so let me ask you, so Honorable, because this is a legal matter, and so and the courts have their own procedure. For a lot of our viewers, it is in our laws and established that any case that has to do with elections into the National Assembly, both Senate and the House of Reps, or that of the House of Assembly, we terminate at the appeal court, unlike the cases in the presidential and governorship election, which terminates in the Supreme Court. So in the case of Plateau State, the House of Assembly members and the National Assembly members who were sacked, the case terminated at the appeal court, and it cannot go beyond that. And that is the last bus stop. Now, legally speaking, if you say because you right the wrong, where do you think the righting or the correction or the review of that wrong would come from? Which court?
Clearly, in righting the wrong, there are judicial precedents already on these issues. Already, Supreme Court has already said that, look, the Court of Appeal had no jurisdiction. And we have instances that the Supreme Court was and has been able to right the wrong in terms of jurisdiction on these same issues of election matters that has happened in the past, in terms of Ocha, in terms of Dangana, where it ended in the Court of Appeal. But the same Supreme Court went further, that on the case of Ocha, the appeal court lacks jurisdiction to have even entertained the matter in the same place. So we're now going to look at the doctrine of necessity in this way, to be able to right the wrong, to be able to understand that, look, to right the wrong in judicial matters, there is no time bound on that. In as much as electoral issues is status bar, but to right a wrong in illegality, it is not status bar. By the way, in the first instance, that the court lacks jurisdiction. So in that judicial precedent, that is what we are now looking at. By looking at, look, the Supreme Court, you have made this matter known and you have clearly stated out that, look, these issues are wrong. Can you now bring back the integrity of the entirety of the judiciary? Because now that we have this issue, in terms of integrity is there, in terms of morality is there, in terms of trying to know that, look, the future of our elections is there. So putting the records straight, it's very important, because if we continue in this matter, which means in 2027, the Court of Appeal can still do the same thing and it will get away with it. So it is not what we should just look at, that because it is status bar, we should be able to look at what kind of doctrine of necessity we should be able to bring into to strengthen the judiciary, to strengthen the electoral process, to strengthen especially the morality of our dear nation in the face of nations, in terms of doing the right thing when it needs to be done.
So, so the question I asked that question is the fact that case, the lawmakers were not parties to the Supreme Court ruling which favored Governor Mutuwang, which is part of the fact in which the appeal court ruled on, which saw the sacking of the federal lawmakers. So are you thinking in the minds of those who are agitated by this that maybe the Supreme Court can entertain that matter and review what the appeal court has done? Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely, because now because what we are now looking at, right, and like I said, and I'm still talking about the doctrine of necessity here, is that, look, the Supreme Court has already clearly explained these issues, have already clearly made judgment on this issue. So we are not talking about a different matter, and we are talking on the same particular issue.
But Honorable, you are aware that the Supreme Court cannot entertain such a matter. It doesn't have jurisdiction to entertain it. Are you aware?
Now, we are aware, but we are now saying that, look, where can we right the wrong? And that's why the State House of Assembly members went to the High Court to seek for further interpretation of these laws, to seek for further how can these issues be reviewed. Something must start somewhere.
For the sake of our viewers, Honorable, if you remember what happened, I think it was 2020, where the Supreme Court, very senior lawyers were slammed with some kind of cost, award of cost, for bringing that case for the Supreme Court to revisit and review its own case. And the Supreme Court has said, look, if you were to review this matter, and if a judgment has been determined as per inquiry, that the Supreme Court has, have found fault in its own judgment, and the Supreme Court has the right and the power and the jurisdiction to be able to correct its own errors, it says that it will have to do it in a future case, not in the case that it has delivered in the past. So in the case of Court of Appeal or whatever has happened, there are those who are of the opinion of the school of thought that some of you and your colleagues will have to wait for the next 4 years for you to have an opportunity to get back into the assembly, whether state or a national assembly. In this matter, it is dead as dodo, as Michael Zekome will say it.
Well, it's not going to the Supreme Court to review its issue. Our cases were from the appeal court. We are now going to the Supreme Court to be able to look at what the appeal court has been able to do. And that's why the judicial presidents inside going further to a higher court than where above what has happened on the appeal court. So it is not the Supreme Court trying to review its own case, but the Supreme Court to be able to review the issue.
But I'm saying, Honorable, that Supreme Court reviewing the appeal court judgment, in the case of a National Assembly and State House of Assembly matter, it does not have jurisdiction. It may not be able to ever entertain it. That's the point I'm making.
So if it cannot,
that case,
it cannot,
by the procedure of the court and the hierarchy of our courts in Nigeria, that case may never be able to get to the Supreme Court, even for entertainment whatsoever.
It cannot review the issue of the Supreme Court, the appeal court, if the appeal court had jurisdiction to entertain that very matter. So absolutely, the Supreme Court shouldn't and cannot be able. So here, this is an issue that the Supreme Court has clearly said that the Court of Appeals has no jurisdiction. So if the Supreme Court has clearly stated that the Court of Appeal has no jurisdiction, they should be able to affirm, just like they did in the case of Ocha and Dangana, that look, on the cases of Plateau State, you have no jurisdiction. So release this very soon. So that's what we are seeking for.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bagos, for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. And we pray that the Supreme Court will look at statute decisive in terms of jurisdictional precedent. So, and we very believe that they will make Nigeria proud.
Thank you so much.